Aloha and welcome back to my channel. If you're here for the first time, I'm Geralyn St. Joseph. I'm a psychic intuitive and a relationship empowerment coach. Today, we're going to talk about enhancing your health using your mind. Now, some people have, some misconceptions about it. I'm not talking about just like mind over matter stuff, which sometimes turns out to be more like dissociation than it is actually healing. I'm talking about using your mental state in order to affect your physical state and vice versa. So let's start. First off, who am I to talk about such a thing? I am not a doctor, but I am a patient, and I have had several issues over the years. When I was just 19 years old, I was struck by a drunk driver. I was in a car. We were driver's side to driver's side. It didn't look that bad if you would just look at it, but I was standing on the brakes because the car I was in was being pushed from behind because it was broken. So I took the full impact of a car hitting me at 65 miles per hour from my feet up. Needless to say, it did a bit of damage, and I still deal with some of that today, but I would be much worse off if I did not use the techniques that I'm about to talk to you about in order to heal myself and also help myself just get through the day to day. Because when it first happened, I will tell you, the first year after it happened was very difficult because a lot of my injuries were not visible. So I didn't break bones, but like in my back, I was bone on bone. I hurt my knees, I hurt my ankles. And the doctor told me the next time I would do better if I just threw myself in front of the car, because then broken bones can heal more easily than some of the injuries that I had gotten. I guess you could say this was the impetus to my spiritual journey. Now, I was born with the gifts that I have. I have honed and discovered new gifts along the way, but I really didn't do a lot with it until after this accident. I was only 19 years old. I was going into my sophomore year of college, and I needed to figure out a way so that I could continue to go to school, graduate, and continue my life. One of my diagnoses was that I was going to be in a wheelchair by the time I was 25 if I did not give in to surgery on my lower back, where they would put a rod in my back. And I said, absolutely not. No. So I didn't do that. And I am not in a wheelchair. Now, I don't think that everyone, I don't feel like everyone has the same outcome. So I'm not saying that if your doctor tells you you need surgery, that you absolutely don't need surgery. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that for me, I knew deep in myself that surgery would not be helpful, that it would actually hurt me worse than it would help me. I have always been very flexible. So what I started to do was I continued actually to do the exercises that I would do in ballet. A lot of stretching, a lot of core work, and that helped me a great deal. The other thing I learned was that the more I thought about what hurt and how it hurt and where it hurt, the more it hurt. So if I could look outside myself or look at things and think about it as in, okay, what do I need to do? All right, I'm going to do this. I did find over time that my fear of the pain, of how much pain I was going to be in either before, during, or after doing something, my fear of the pain was a lot worse than the actual pain itself. And my fear of the pain would make the pain worse. So if I didn't think about it, oh, this is going to hurt, and just went into it as, okay, I need to lift this suitcase. I need to make my bed. I need to walk to the subway to get to school. If I looked at it that way, as opposed to, oh, how am I going to get to the subway? I'm in this brace. It's going to be so painful. And then how am I going to get up the steps? And then if I thought of it that way, it really did make things so much more difficult than they needed to be. Now, that's not saying that you don't take into consideration, I might need a cane, or maybe I should have my braces on for this part of it. But it's to say that if all you're focusing on is how much pain you're in or how much something is going to hurt you or bother you, that makes it bigger. It's like anything else. Where thoughts go, energy follows. And where energy is, things manifest. So the more that I considered how I was going to do things and what I wanted to accomplish, the more I could do. Whereas those days where I would wake up every day with a headache. I had a headache for 9 straight years without any time without a headache. 9 years. Every day, all day. Went to bed with it, woke up with it. After a while, I mean, it still hurt, but I didn't allow it to keep stopping me. I didn't allow it to be front and center because I didn't wake up going, oh no, I have that headache again. I would just wake up and start my day. If you focus on, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, or I can do this, you're much more likely to be able to do it. Now, I have found that if I focused on a specific thing that I wanted to heal and sent energy to that and worked on that every day, that I did have healing in a lot of areas that I was told it was impossible, that I would never have that healing. One of the things I did was my lower back was one of the places where they wanted to put the rods because I was bone on bone. And I was told you can't regrow a disc and blah, 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 all this stuff. And so I focused on that part of my back and I sent white light energy to it. I worked on it every single day. And in my thoughts, I'm like, I'm healthy. And every day, every way, I get better and better. Every day and every way, I get better and better. And I just kept chanting that mantra to myself as often as it would pop into my head all day. After a year or so of focusing specifically on my lower back, I noticed that I was not having the same pain. It wasn't bothering me as much. I was much more limber. I could bend down and get back up without having to grasp at people. And several years later, I went to a chiropractor and I got x-rays, and lo and behold, my lower back was fine. It was good. There was no bulging disc. There was no bone on bone. It was fine. So knowing that and having experienced that, I want to share with people that you have the ability to help yourself. And it starts up here. Everything, I'm not going to say everything. A lot of things start in the mind. So if you can control your consciousness and control where you're directing your energy, and you have some kind of an ailment, to direct your energy to help you heal is good. Now, different ailments have different cores to them. So yes, there is a physical core, there's an energetic core, but there also is a spiritual core to a lot of these things. So for instance, lower back is not feeling supported. It's about not feeling appreciated and not having the financial, the emotional, or the physical support that you need. So not only mentally do you need to work on really considering reshaping your physical self, but also on, if you can figure out what the core of the issue is, whatever that core emotion or core thought is, and then work on that, it helps also. The worst thing you could do for yourself if you're hurting, if you have a chronic ailment, any of these things is to focus on it and malinger with it. I could have very easily ended up in a wheelchair. I could have very easily been made to drop out of school. I could have very easily been in a terrible place right now, if not dead. And that's not an exaggeration. But I chose to connect with spirit and start really focusing on my future and outside of myself and what I was aiming to do and how I was aiming to get there. So one of the first things that I did out of school was I started working in movie theaters. Now, I have a college degree. I was in advertising and stuff. There was a lot I could have done, but most of what I was trained for basically would put me in an office sitting down 7 hours a day or whatever it would be. And that was not good for me. And I knew that wouldn't be good for me. So I figured out I needed to get a job where I needed to be physical, where I needed to be, but I couldn't be on my feet all the time, but I wanted to push myself physically to do things. And so I started working for movie theaters, AMC specifically. And in the beginning, I wasn't as physical as I was by the time I left that job. But I started small. I would start with, you're running up and down the steps, you're picking up the films, you're having to stretch over the platter in order to put the film. You had to really contort yourself sometimes to thread the projectors. And all these different things really helped my body to start to move out a lot of the stiffness and the pain. And then I found myself, I was picking up 50-pound bags of corn. I was doing a lot more. And yes, the first couple times I would do it, I would be really stiff and it'd be a little painful, but then I would push myself and I broke through a lot of that. I would not have been able to do any of that if I didn't have the mindset that I can do this. I will do this. I got to the point about a year after the accident where I was like, I am not living like this for the rest of my life. I'm 20 years old. I need to have some kind of a life for myself. I can't, like, who's going to take care of me? What is going to happen? Not that my parents wouldn't take care of me, but that I knew there was something more for me to do in life than that. When we have a positive mindset, when we are looking at things and trying to keep our energy up and our vibration up, it helps our healing. Things like loving something or someone also helps our healing, because what happens when we really love somebody or we really love something, it changes the vibration of our body. And when our vibrations are high, that's when it's easiest for us to heal. Now, and I say something instead of someone because people will disappoint you. Unless it's like a baby or something. For the most part, I find it worked better for me to love, like I have my cats. I love the dogs. I love the sky. I love the green. I love the way the air smells. There were so many things that I found to love and really pull that energy into me and really radiate that loving energy, that it helped me heal so much. And it really was the spiritual turning point for me, because before that accident, yes, I did cards. I taught myself graphology. I did palms and stuff like that. But I never intended for it to become something that I did all the time or that I taught other people. I was spiritual. I wanted to be a priest when I was 10 years old. Go figure. But it wasn't where it was going to be front and center of my life. But after that, now I can't work a regular job. Now I can't sit for 8 hours a day. I can't work an office job. I can't do this. I can't do that. And I understood my limitations, where if I didn't allow my body to move, I would be in pain and there's a problem. And I'm still like that. And I'm 56. So looking at what you can do and then accepting what's there, but also knowing where you can push the boundaries. Where can you push things? Where can you, and know your body, get to know your own body. I know for myself, I react weird to different pharmaceuticals, different things that I might have to take. So I know my body. So I am very specific and very intentional about anything that I do having to do with my health and having to do with my physical body and also my mental health. So the key to physical health often is good mental health. Because if you feel good about yourself, if you have good self-esteem, you're confident, and you have a good outlook on life, you see things as beautiful, and you have gratefulness and gratitude, you surround yourself with that, and you're upbeat, you can overcome a lot more than if you're doom and gloom and everything is bad and you sink into your depression and you don't do anything about it. I'm not saying that all depression is the same. It's not. And I've gone through periods of my life where I've been very depressed. However, I came to a point where I know I'm like, I cannot go on like this. I cannot do this. And what pulled me out and what pulled me through is my connection to spirit. Every time I feel myself getting low or getting down, or like my energy is not where it needs to be, it's because I'm disconnecting from spirit. The other word for that is sin. It means without. So pay attention to that. Use this time to really develop your spirituality and allow it to comfort you, allow it to embrace you, allow spirit to come in and give you what you need to move forward in the best way possible. So that's my spiritual story. That's my experience. That was how I got started on the first part of this journey. There's a whole nother story to tell you about how I got involved in the paranormal. I just want to leave you with this. Yes, it's in your head. Part of it anyway. Doesn't mean it's only in your head. But you can use your consciousness, your thoughts, in order to change yourself physically and otherwise. If you're constantly trying to fill a hole, or you feel like there's no hope, then that's what you're giving yourself. It takes time, it takes consistency, and it takes practice. If you have people around you who can help you with that, who can remind you, you might not be happy when they first remind you, but it does work and it will be helpful. Because even though you may be in pain, if your thoughts, if you harbor thoughts that are more loving and more positive, the pain doesn't feel like it weighs quite so much. And I'm not poo-pooing anybody's disabilities or issues. I'm just saying that if you take the time to hone your consciousness and your thoughts, that it can be very helpful when dealing with any of these types of situations. Okay? I hope you enjoyed our talk. This is GeralynStJoseph. Again, if you liked it, please like, subscribe, and share. I hope this was helpful. And I would love to know what you guys would like me to talk about next. Are there any certain topics that you are more interested in? Do you want to talk more about the paranormal? Do you want to go more into relationships? Do we want to do both? Because we can. Just put it down in the comments below. Thank you for your time. I'm glad you're still here. Many blessings. Mahalo. I'm Geralyn St. Joseph. Have a great night.